Hold up. So, let's put your ticker down here. There we go. And we are live. Let's see if we're live. Usually takes a little to kick in. You always got to double check.
Oh, of course, of course.
Oh, we are live. And good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. This is me, your host, JP Warren, the founder of Connection Crew, Energy Crew podcast. And also, we've got some exciting other stuff coming that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, Kids Crew. And I am sitting here on this wonderful St. Patrick's beautiful day with Craig Cato, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And before we get kicked off, we usually kind of have to warm it up and kind of see where people are tuning in from, say hello. So if anyone out there right now is tuning in and wants to chime in, go ahead and say hello. Oh, we got Justin. This guy is awesome. Justin is like he's first off, the dude's everywhere. All right.
Yeah.
Have you met Justin Brignap before?
I don't think so.
Oh man, Olified, dude's legit. Always tuning in. Such a great supporter. Happy St. Patty's Day, Justin. He's tuning in from the Social Octane Golf Tournament in Houston. It is. I've heard about the Social Octane Golf Tournaments, and I'll bet that it's gonna be a blast today, man. So if you're not on the entire time, this whole Craig and JP in the morning. If you're not on for that the whole time, man, I appreciate you tuning in for a little bit, man. I hope it's perfect weather for that the golf games today. So I hope you're having fun out there. And then, so I guess it's pretty much kind of hang out and see where people kind of chiming in from. We got old Toby tuning in from the field in South Texas. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope that the connection's well enough down there so you can hear us and get some of the brightest insights you will ever find in the industry. And you'll only find that here on Breakfast Runs.
A bit of a stretch.
Well, you know what? We got to overpromise, underdeliver. That's what I do. You got to overpromise, underdeliver. All right, we have Kelsey Bradley tuning in. Good morning from Houston. Good morning, Kelsey. Thanks for tuning in. It's beautiful. So I got up this morning at 6 a.m. All right.
Right.
Which is super late for me. I'm usually up at 4 o'clock, but it's St. Patty's Day. And I started sous videing a corned beef. And it takes 10 hours in the sous vide. Put me a bottle of Guinness in there, put the spices in there. So now it's going to be ready around 4:30. You got to have the traditional Irish meal, St. Patty's Day.
Sure you didn't start on the Guinness a little bit early?
The Guinness will be happening at the house today, but not this early. I don't think I can do a live thing and at 9:30 a.m. and just kind of cue
might spice it up a little bit.
It would spice it up a little bit, but you can't. You have something going on today.
Yep,
but I am drinking an Irish coffee without the Baileys in it. It's just Irish cream or something like that. So
gotcha.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That'll do. But I guess before we kicked off, if you're tuning in again, chime in, say hello, bring up discussion points. We're just kind of winging this today. There's a lot going on, obviously, personally, globally. There's a lot going on we can talk about. And there's a lot of different rabbit holes we can go down. But before we begin, I want to say, I just want to kind of throw it out there. What we are working on at Connection Crew on June 5th, we are having a kind of a family day, a family day at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, and it's a limited capacity, so tickets are only available right now through sponsorship availability. And check this brand out. We just did the brand. We had the help. My wife and I did the brand, and we had the help of my daughter with it. So here it is, Kids Crew. Energy makes the world go round, and the whole goal of this is to kind of bring the little ones in, and kind of give them an introduction about energy, kind of learn about how oil and gas is involved in every aspect of our lives. We have some great industry speakers coming in, about to make those announcements coming up. It's going to be exciting, man. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I know I never saw anything like this as a kid growing up, and it would have been really interesting.
Well, the thing is, though, it's my daughter, she's like, Daddy, what do you do for work? I'm always like, I make friends for work. You know what I mean? Like that. That's what I do. Whenever I take her to the museum, or I start talking about, oil and gas or rigs and all that stuff, like she doesn't know,
Right.
And plus she's, she watches all these shows on Netflix, and
it's always the bad.
The villains,
stuff.
the villains are guys like you, and guys like me. You know what I mean? So it's just a way to kind of to educate the little ones. And if you're looking for information on how to get involved in that or sponsorship opportunities, check out Connection Crew's website, go to our Kids Crew, or reach out to me or my wife, Monica, at the emails are monica@connectioncrew.com or jp@connectioncrew.com. So check that out. We love your support and all that stuff. But anyway, it's just kind of be an introduction to children and bringing families together to kind of talk about energy and education. Have a good time doing so. Oh my God, Ahmed from Saudi Arabia. So Ahmed and we go way back. All right. So when I was living in Saudi Arabia, Ahmed and I became very close friends. I think I just saw a recent, I'm not sure it was a promotion on your part, Ahmed, but congratulations, Habibi. Hope all is well, amigo. Miss you, dude. Hope you and the family are doing well over in Saudi. And tell everyone I said hello, please. Some great times over there.
Oh, I can imagine. It's one place I've never been. I wouldn't mind going.
It was cool, man. It was cool because at first it was just different, but the food was so good. Solid group of people I met over there. Great people from all over the globe over there. So it was a really great experience, actuty.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, what were you doing over there?
Well, it sounds extremely important. I was the acting country manager for Rawabi Archer during the time. That's when I left Noble Drilling. I went over there. It was supposed to be a 4-month stint, but it turned out to be like a year and a half. But that's how oil field stints work.
Nice. Yeah.
It's always longer than they say. So so that was a good time. So all right, chiming in. Thank you so much, brother. Will do, partner. I hope so, man. All right, so let's kind of what else do I got to talk about? All right, so Crew Club been extremely successful. Brought in a lot of great different faces, a lot of different operators, service business partners. That's about to open up. Membership to that's about to open up. So if you're curious about that, again, head to connectioncrew.com or shoot me a note or something like that. That's always like so this is the third quarter I'm doing it. And so far to date, all the events, we've had over almost 199 different operators come to these events. And it's a great place to kind of just meet people professionally and personally, just kind of get to know them a little bit more. And it's been fun.
Yeah, I've been following your travels and
it's a lot of travel.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of back and forth between Houston and Midland and Oklahoma.
You got to support the industry. You got to be traveling. You got to support the industry a little bit. So, all right. So let's kind of get this kicked off. I did my plugs. Oh, but before we continue any further, we have to thank obviously the sponsors to this great show, the great people over at Royal Completion Tools. They've been a huge supporter of me and the show since kind of day one. So, of course, we're going to have to show the commercial for Royal Completion Tools. Check them out.
To all you completion engineers, company men, and consultants out there, are you sick and tired of losing sleep over frac plugs not getting to depth, not holding pressure, or not drilling out properly? Or maybe you aren't getting the best quality and service from the bigs. Well, stop burning the midnight oil and rest at ease while using Royal Frac Plugs, the most reliable and efficient frac plug on the market. Start your successful completions today by getting in touch with Royal Completion Tools. You can contact them via www.royalcompletiontools.com, sales@royalcts.com, or via LinkedIn. Contact them today to check out some of the best frac plugs out there.
Solid group of people over there, but now that I watch that, you kind of look back, it's like whoever that dude playing guitar was, the company man, he needs to get someone he needs to do some weed whacking himself.
I was going to ask, did you enjoy making that as much as I think you did?
It was a good time making it. I had my daughter film for me, and but when I go to director mode, like creative director mode, like I'm very serious with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, stand there, let's have some fun. Have some fun. You know, that's one of those like scary like Quentin Tarantino directing modes.
Does your daughter do the same thing when she gets behind the camera? Like, Dad, don't do that.
Kind of, yeah. She kind of points me out. I mean, the whole. So I do another show called Coffee and Beans where we do the bamboozled.
Oh yeah, I watched one of your most recent ones. Yeah.
I've almost thrown up really close twice. I had Ethan on, and then Bryson, Matt Hill, and Ken Lavin. I almost threw up twice.
Yeah,
like very close. But that was my daughter's.
Wasn't it on the same flavor?
No, one was liver and onions where I did here. And we're doing this at Roast and Brew. Awesome place here. Great people in the Heights off of 19th Street. Roast and Brew, coffee in the Heights. Got a plug local shop. Great place. But we did one here. We did one up in Oklahoma.
Right.
One was a rotten egg. That's the one I almost threw up, the most recent one. So that was her idea. So thank you, Evelyn, for that. let's kind of let's do this. Let's get this kicked off. All right, there's lots to talk about. Give us a little background on yourself. You and I met at it was a Sipes lunch.
Yep.
I believe. And for those that you don't know what Sipes is, and you might be able to speak to this a little bit better, it's a lot of geologists, it's a lot of people that know the rock, know the plays, and it's kind of a good atmosphere for people that want to go get deals and people that want to make some deals.
Yeah. So it's a organization. I think they're probably going to kill me when I go to the lunch today if I don't get the name right. It's
Scott Leesberg and Jeff Allen are watching, and they should be joining. So
the Society of Independent Petroleum Exploration Scientists, I believe.
Experts, something like that.
I
think you're right. I'm wrong.
And but it's a organization for independent. There's lots of people who have just they bought into a one well lease or something like that, and they're producing on their own. There's several people in the organization who've done that and presented it at the lunches and that sort of thing. So it's my understanding it's been around for a long time with the purpose of connecting independent.
But the thing that's cool about it is that if you're like a Sipes member or something like that, there's been, I guess, previously in our industry, no surprise here, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sipes, they have a certain level of ethical, there's like a Sipes stamp, and that means your reputation. You do business ethically. You don't do any snake oil salesman, anything like that. Like it's like having that stamp, being part of that organization, shows that there's going to be a certain level of transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I believe there was the one or two lunches ago, somebody actually became like a full member and got their stamp or their certificate, I believe.
Is that process? Is it very it's like the Freemasons, like secret society, like the skulls? You get the stamp burnt behind the watch.
I don't know what they do behind the scenes. They could. We just don't
know
about
it.
They've got us all over, right? Yeah.
So we met at a Sipes lunch. We were just kind of hanging out. We just kind of started talking all that stuff, and kind of give us a little background, kind of on yourself, and kind of the past. I mean, obviously not the beginning of your career, but kind of what you've been faced with, because you've been in a situation where it's been pretty challenging for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've been.
Let's get it kicked off from the beginning, though. Bring us back to the beginning.
So I got my kind of bachelor's degree in geology from not a small college, but a smaller college in Georgia, University of West Georgia, and did my graduate school at University of Alabama. So, roll Tide, of course.
Okay, of course.
And that's kind of the first place that I was really introduced to the oil and gas industry.
So what were you doing with geology before? If you weren't, I mean, what avenues did you want to go down?
So I didn't really know for certain. I kind of sort of picked when I signed up for college, picked the major that kind of sounded the coolest.
Yeah.
To me, I liked doing things outside. And the main thing I loved. Did you ever watch the program on the History Channel, How the Earth Was Made?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's really what kind of got me interested in geology. But for a job, I kind of had it in my mind that I wanted to do like mining. And so I never really.
This is pre-Bitcoin mining, for the record.
Yeah. This is actual
Bitcoin fans out there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never got around to get into it. But when I was at Alabama, I did this thing. I don't know are you familiar with Imperial Barrel Award?
I am, but they might not be. So you might want to tell the.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's it's kind of like a competition that's done amongst teams from universities across the world.
Okay.
And it's sponsored by a lot of companies in the oil and gas. They give there's a certain number of data sets that teams get, and they basically go and they take this data and they go through it like you would like an exploration play.
Okay.
Right. So for example, we had a data set from the North Slope of Alaska.
Okay.
And we had to go through it with the idea that we were a new operator, like just coming into it. And we had to examine the data they gave us and make recommendations about where to drill, like you would in an exploration.
Yeah, I like that though.
And we went and we presented it. Actually, here in Houston, it was the Schlumberger building.
Okay.
That we presented it in, and we did good. We didn't win or anything, but we were pleased with how we did. But that was my first introduction.
Okay.
And from that, we had industry advisors, right? And so our industry advisors were all from former Alabama students that worked at Anadarko.
Okay.
That's how I got connected.
So when did you go? When did you go? So you started your career at Anadarko?
Yes, yeah, I did an internship that I got from my connections that I made from doing the
What year was
Barrel.
this for you at Anadarko?
The internship was 2013. Started full time 2014.
Anadarko was this in Woodlands?
Yes, yeah, it was
Anadarko back in the day. That was some solid people in Anadarko.
That's what I've been told.
God.
And it was not bad when I was there by any means, but they talked about the change in the culture.
There was definitely a change, but I mean, being in sales, I mean, you have the opportunity to go to visit many different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And there definitely is a certain culture feel at every company you go to, whether it's Apache back in the day, Anadarko back in the day, Rosetta, whatever it was, back in the day. Like there was definitely a feel, but Anadarko had the best people, in my opinion. It had some of the best people. It had some of the best, just down to earth people, not a lot of egos, people that you want to go have a beer with. You know what I mean? Like outside of work. So I love the whole group over there.
Were you there for pre or post Kerr McGee?
I was.
I think that was 06 maybe.
I was post
okay.
Kerr McGee.
Gotcha.
And then when they moved everyone to Midland, that's kind of when things fell off.
Yeah,
in my opinion. From the outside looking in.
Yeah, I mean, they started moving people sort of before the layoff. So I was laid off from there in 2016.
Okay.
That was right around the time they were kind of encouraging / forcing people to go to Midland. And so I have a lot of friends who did move or who didn't want to move. Some friends are still there with different people. Anadarko doesn't exist anymore. It was like a lot of people didn't really appreciate the big force.
So you started off in Anadarko. You were there for about 2.5 years.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Okay,
a year and 7 months.
And then where did your career journey take you?
So I was laid off for unemployed for about 6 months, and when I was at Alabama, they have the Alabama Geological surveys on campus.
Okay.
There, right? So I had a lot of contacts there. Somebody was leaving from there, and they needed a replacement, and so they called me because I knew them, and so I went there, started working for the state of Alabama.
The state of Alabama.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So I was there for right at 2 years.
All right. So that was government work.
Yeah, state government.
So
I'm not fancy enough to be federal.
So there's a little bit. So I'm sure there's a different culture between going from Anadarko to going to an Alabama state federal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, how was that experience on that side of the desk for you?
I mean, it was a nice place to work. It's a lot less pressure. Like you're not really, your decision is not going to cost somebody $1 million.
Okay. Okay.
That was good. So there was the stress was a lot low in that regard. They didn't pay very well at all.
All right.
That's kind of typical. That's more or less the reason I left.
Okay.
In the work that I was doing wasn't very exciting.
Okay.
A lot of the times it was kind of just doing the day-to-day type stuff.
So after that, so the pay and I guess the pace of work that brought you back into the industry.
Yes.
Where'd you land there?
So I got an offer at XTO / Exxon. So it was when they had announced the moving people from Fort Worth to the Houston office. I forget the attrition rate, but like half the people that what they wanted to move didn't move.
Okay. So
a lot of positions opened up. And I knew somebody who was a reservoir engineer at Exxon. I think she was at XTO at the time. But she put in a recommendation for me. I got an interview on the phone, did an on-site interview, and was offered the position like 2 weeks ago.
And so what year was this?
That was 2018.
2018. Yep. You landed a job at Exxon. Okay. Bring us to where we're at.
Okay, so I was part of the beginning of the Exodus, as it's been known, in late 2020.
The Exxon-dis.
I think it's so. I wasn't.
I just feel like I've made that up. Is that?
No. They've actually been calling it the Exodus, but with 2 X's.
Right. I like that though.
So,
I like that though.
I wasn't.
If you can market your your packages, letting
Yeah.
people go. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
I wasn't part of the group that been taking pictures in front of the cube. I'm sure you've seen those.
no.
So it's so on Exxon's campus they have this big building that's called the Cube. It's like
Okay.
the first thing you see when you come on
Okay.
through the main gates, right? And it's a really cool building. It's like a kind of engineering,
It's an engineering masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's the 15th wonder of the modern world.
They would like to think
Okay.
of it
All right.
is
I'm with
that
you.
for sure.
I'm with
And so that's like kind of the symbol of the campus,
Okay.
right? Is that building. And so people, whenever they leave or get let go or
Ring the
whatever,
bell, yeah.
they go and take their departing photo in front of the cube.
You didn't do that?
No, because I was just like,
I don't need that.
Yeah,
I don't need this.
Yeah.
All right. So what year was this when you got let go?
This was December of 2020.
December of 2020.
So it was literally my first day back after Thanksgiving.
So
vacation.
so March 2020 is when kind of everything hit the fan. So you kind of hug on for about 9 months, 8-9 months, and December 2020. This is kind of what I want to talk about. Kind of like because I know you and I met. You were looking. You had the
Yes.
open to work tag around your profile, and you were telling me that you were just been grinding, trying to get in front of people, trying to get work, trying to find. But what challenges did you when you were actually in that position? Like, what were you faced with?
A lot of it was because it's just like I knew so many other geologists who had been let go with me or from other companies that I was like competing against for a very small number of jobs. I mean, at the time there were some positions were open, but not a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing that I started to get worried about was that I like doing oil and gas work. It's what I wanted to
Yeah.
do, but I tried to apply to other geoscience.
Just to
type
find
positions.
something.
Yeah, just to find something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I applied for mining. Like I told you, I wanted to get into environmental, just kind of random field construction work.
Yeah.
And it was like I couldn't get my foot in the door. I had a couple of interviews that, just on the phone, like 20-minute interviews that never panned out to anything. So that was one of the big challenges. It's like I was starting to think, like, is like oil and gas all I'm ever gonna be able to do?
Well, that's kind of the scary part too, because you and I were talking about this. I mean, during that, the March 2020. I mean, even today, there's.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into this, a little bit about prices. You expect things to be a certain way, prices are, but I mean, Andrew Taylor, one of the nicest, smartest guys out there. He couldn't find work. He actually ended up leaving the industry. We saw a lot of great people, great, kind, smart people leave the industry just because there's nothing out there.
Yeah. One of my good friends that I worked with at XTO, he got into data science.
Okay.
He luckily got a job in data science. He's not even in the industry anymore either. He was a great geologist.
That stinks, man. You're seeing a lot of good experience. You're seeing a lot of good expertise, and you're just seeing a lot of good people. If they can't find something, I mean, they have to provide for their families. So I get it. So to kind of tell us where you're at now, like what do you see? Like where are you at now? Are you working now?
Yes, I am working.
Okay, all right. Is it full-time contract? What is it?
It's contract, but it's full time.
Okay,
so
that's good.
I work for a company called Geologic now. They're a contracts geoservices company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I do is right now I'm working with a couple of different companies, right? And so we do the operations geology for whoever needs operations geology work. Say you have you or somebody at Sykes has a property they want to develop, but they don't have the expertise, or they don't have the manpower to fully develop it. They'll hire us to do the geologic work. We have all that in the house.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I would assume after the downturn, I'm sure a lot of places cut their G&A. A lot of places got rid of a lot of people, flushing departments out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of where I guess you would step in, versus a company hiring. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
and it's really easy for a company to just pay another company to do everything. right?
But
So
that's kind of a cool experience. So the fact that now you get to see, I guess instead on the consultant side, you get to see different companies and how they operate,
Yeah.
kind of different roles and all that stuff, kind of how they manage their departments, how they manage their people. So how's that for you?
it's been very interesting. Like, I mean, we work with several companies of various sizes.
Yeah.
The big companies definitely do things a lot differently than the smaller companies. They have, their templates that we have to use. Their formats for like geologic prognoses and that sort of thing. They're very specific. Some of the smaller companies are more, just whatever you think is fine.
I dig
with
that
us.
though.
So
I kind of like the smaller company vibe. It's always fun working with a smaller company. I feel like you get to know the people a little bit more. You know what I mean? You get to have better relationships because you're dealing with who makes the decisions.
Yeah, definitely. So like one company I work with, their geology program is one person, basically one geologist. And I talk with her every day, for all hours of the day, just, how's the well going? How do you think we should target? What are the guys in the field seeing that they're not saying to us, that sort of thing.
So looking for your role, or looking for kind of a place to find income, pretty much. I mean, what was kind of the biggest avenues that I guess reap the most benefits? Was it the side flunches? Was it colleagues that you knew in the past? Was it just kind of getting online? What helped you kind of get to find this? I mean, there might be people out there right now kind of looking for their next role.
So where I got the position that I'm in now specifically was through people that I used to work with.
Okay.
So the site lunches, I definitely met some good people that helped me, sent me job postings and that sort of thing. But the kind of just general knowing people.
Networks.
The networking.
Connections.
So how I got my current job was somebody that I worked with at Anadarko.
Okay.
Worked for Geologic in the past. And she knew that they needed someone with experience in North Dakota, which is that's where I worked with XTO. That's where I work now. And they needed somebody. And so she said, hey, send my previous boss your resume, connect with them on LinkedIn and stuff. And I did. And it was a couple months before they had things like
available.
Yeah. But I mean, he called me and told me, hey, we're going to have something in a few months. If you can hold on, you're going to be, my first call, basically.
I've been holding on, man.
Yeah.
I've been holding on, bro. I don't want to hold on anymore.
Well, and I did one interview through his company, that he was going to hire me to this company.
Okay.
Right. So I went and did an interview, and it went well, and they just happened to, it was like I was one of two people they were interviewing, and they went with the other person. And I was like, at a certain point, you have to think is it me? Of
course you take it personal.
Yeah, so
it's very difficult not to take things personal. You know what I mean? Especially when it's just between you and one other person.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I cursed him for a dog, in my apartment at home, but then I just have to get back after it.
And then you hear the, well, hey, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be, which is true. But it's I would at least like that option to decide.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Give me that option to decide. Yeah.
Well, it's like I was telling you earlier today. I had the other day somebody contacted me about a short-term contract position.
Yep.
And it was 2 to 3 month contract. 6 months ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah.
Now I have the option to say no.
Which is a good position to be in.
Yeah.
So you found, again, to kind of reiterate, anyone that's out there kind of looking for their next role or looking for something like this, it's not just one thing that's going to get it to you. It's going to be a whole slew of things. It's getting involved in, for example, in your discipline, getting involved in sites. It's knowing your existing network. I mean, you see people get their roles because of who they know. And that's what I always try to preach. It's it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's really kind of what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. And it's kind of everything is kind of getting validated about that.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of geologists out there still looking for work that are much better than me, quite honestly.
I didn't say that, you did.
I'm saying that 100%. But I just happen to know the right people, be in the right place, the right time, type thing.
And that's honestly, was it half luck, half being in the right place, the right time, knowing the right people. So, All right, so obviously with prices where they're at right now, with everything going right now, we got inflation going on. We got the war with Ukraine going on. We can open this up to the whole geopolitical stuff right now because honestly, it's I always preach about staying away from the news. Like I hate the news.
Yeah.
I do not. I don't like the news. I don't trust the news.
Right.
I don't function well with the news. And I found myself kind of digging into like, what the hell's going on right now with everything? And we can kind of open this up wherever we want to. But I mean, you got the Ukraine crisis going on. Then you have the leadership, the U.S. leadership saying, they're speaking out both sides of their mouth, talking about, if we switch to all renewables, we'll be fine. Oh, if you just buy a $50,000, $60,000, electric vehicle car, you don't have to worry about gas prices. And then it's like, oh, wow, oil and gas companies, you're being greedy and price gouging, but yet don't invest in oil and gas companies.
Yeah.
So it's like there's this whole to me, I don't always say this, and I kind of came up with this. People need to redefine their energy wants with their energy needs. And right now, there's a huge disconnect with energy realities and energy expectations.
Yep.
And that needs to kind of close the gap. But I mean, so I guess, let's get into that a little bit. So what are you seeing in kind of your end? What do you are you worried? Are you optimistic? What's going on?
I mean, I guess it would be cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
We have seen oil prices increase, not aside from recently when they were just skyrocketing.
Was it you got to 130 or something like that?
Something like I don't know what it's at today. But I mean, they were kind of slowly but steadily increasing on their own. And a lot of that was just, during the pandemic, nobody traveled anywhere.
Demand got crushed.
Yeah, and nobody was producing.
Yeah.
Now they've kind of burned through all that surplus they had, and that's part of the reason why things are so expensive right now.
Right.
So, and that's why pay more for, I don't know, a steak, a ribeye at HEB.
Well then you have the leaders of the country kind of promoting. Well, just turn it on, open the. But there is the conversations and the education with the people that say these kind of harmful things. Yeah. Not just for our industry. I'm talking about for the populace of the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very harmful for the majority of people just because. Here's the deal. I'm in the energy industry. You're in the energy industry. I feel like the people in the industry know what they're talking about. The reason why I know that is because I've been around the table and I've heard people talk. 90% over my head, but I'm like, but these are some smart people that know energy more than I do. They understand the realities of energy right now. So the fact is you have this misinformation going on right now to the population, which is harmful, about renewables, about electric vehicles, about this and that. So it's one of those things where it's like, how do we have these conversations outside of our little echo chamber?
Yeah.
Like how do we engage and have these meaningful, crucial conversations with people outside of our industry?
I think you just have to, us specifically maybe, and people in general, just need to listen more, than talk. For example, when I go to a Sipes lunch, I know I'm not the most knowledgeable person there, so I don't ever speak up or say anything. I try to listen, and learn as much as I can. I think you need to do that more, quite honestly.
I think listening is good. I don't think I think beating our chest and saying, "Oh, you don't know energy." Of course they don't. They're getting their information based on people that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a question of listening, but it's also a question of not. Yeah, I think the mindset needs to change from winning an argument or showing how the other person's stupid to kind of introduce it. It's more of an introduction. It's more of an industry introduction. I feel like we need to do.
Yeah, this is a little bit off topic, but in that same spirit, I was listening yesterday and kind of finishing up today of one of the recent Joe Rogan podcasts. And he had a guy on. He wasn't, he was talking about something completely different, but he talked about how the way when he's interviewing someone or trying to talk to one about something, he doesn't try to change their reality. He tries to change the way they view their reality.
Yeah, okay.
So I think
that makes sense.
So I think it's something like that is what we need to.
I think they can carry definitely over right now. So you're hearing about challenges right now with labor. To me, labor is one of the biggest things out there, which is I mean, it's not just the money thing. It's not just throwing money at the problem, but it's also the image of our industry right now about getting people in.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I don't really know, to be honest with you, because from what I've seen, there's so many people looking for work. That should be the easiest thing to fill is the people. But I don't know. That one kind of boggles me.
Well, the thing is, I was coming down. I said this many times before, but I mean, at Buc-ee's, they were offering 22 401k, 22,000 a year for $22 an hour.
Yeah.
401k benefits, and
that's starting.
Yeah, it's starting.
Yeah.
You get ship supervisors up there for 32.
Yep.
But if you're in the
extra
industry,
if you do nights too.
Yeah, but in our industry, you pay $19 if you do if you're working, and then you're away from your families, you're working long hours, you're doing 12, 13-hour days.
Yeah, I mean, working for Buc-ee's, you don't have to go spend the winter in North Dakota.
Yeah, you don't. So you'd be around your family, you'd be around your friends, do whatever you want after you knock off. So what else is going on in your world, man? What else is keeping you busy, keeping you up at night?
I don't know about keeping me up at night, but I've been trying to stay busy. Like, for example, when I was unemployed, I took a class in data science and business analytics. I think was the name of the class. So it was a kind of completely online course. It's done through UT Austin's business school.
Okay.
Learned a little bit about data science and Python, that sort of thing.
So I've had a lot of conversations with people, whether it's on the Energy Crew podcast, whether it's on just kind of, sidebar conversations, people that are kind of like, if they have spare time, pretty much do exactly what you did. Learn about data, learn about coding, Python, whatever that is, like learn about that stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, and you did that. So did you find that useful?
At the time, yeah. And it helped me to be able to apply for some new jobs. I didn't end up trying to get into that industry, I guess. It wasn't that type of a program. It wasn't like a full, master's degree or anything like that. But it allowed me to kind of follow conversations a lot better. When they say something about some type of modeling, coding or
you're kind of
like
you're picking up.
Yeah.
But that's good though, to kind of pick up kind of the at least the basics, so you understand what's going on.
Sure.
So you kind of dive in that conversation.
In like, for example, one of the programs that we use for geosteering is StarSteer. It's a big kind of advanced geosteering program. And they have a module. I've never really used it much, but they have a module that you can do your own Python codes inside the program, so you can make different graphs or there was one that I saw recently, or somebody wrote one to do an ROP analysis.
Okay.
For just basically make a well active in the program and run this script, and it analyzes the ROP across the whole lateral.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Are you finding there's is geology and geologist? I've heard there's and I may be wrong. I just might be I'm pulling this out. My tuchus. I've heard that the geology profession, there's been a reduced number of students pursuing it. There's been a reduced number of undergrads coming in the industry. Is that do you know anything about that?
Not directly. I'm not entirely sure. Well, when I go back to visit my undergrad, for example, it seems like the numbers seem to be about the same.
Okay.
But I don't know what they do afterwards.
Okay.
So, like my school was not. Most of the students that came out of our school went to work for like kind of lower level, like bachelor degree type jobs. Yeah. So I don't know if and most of those are like environmental or working for a hydro geologic company. Yeah. I don't know if that's the norm. I don't know if less people are just going to grad school to get the more advanced jobs. I don't know. I mean that. So I know people who at the school ask me, how do I get into oil and gas? And this was like right before I got laid off. So it's kind of hard to like talk about it sometimes,
because it's kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah, because sometimes I want to say, like I love oil and gas. I love the work that I do, but you don't get a little
more stability.
Yeah, you don't get into it if you want job security. Unfortunately,
it's hard.
It sucks to say, but
it's one of the most needed industries out there. But you're right, the job security is not there.
Well, and the other bad thing is that and somebody who's like an accountant. Like every business needs an accountant. Not every business needs a geologist.
That's true. That's true. So that's kind of a challenge for a lot of people out there and all that stuff. So what else is going on before we kind of open it up? Anything exciting coming up? I mean, so you're doing contract work now?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're enjoying that and all stuff.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you want to be? Are you looking for kind of a permanent role? If it comes up, it's the right people, the right group? What's?
I mean, I think if the right thing comes up, you can't just discount it
Exactly.
off, out of hand. But I like the work that I'm doing. I get to work with, like I said, working at XTO, all I did was XTO stuff.
Yeah.
Working for Geologic, I've got my hand in like the workings of like 3 other companies right
cool,
now. And we're adding work all the time because more people are, they want to take advantage of the high prices while they're here. They don't have the time to staff up, so they come to us.
Okay, all right.
So that's where our business has picked up quite a bit recently.
Good,
so,
real good. Yeah, I know. Before we came on, you're like, I'm gonna have to bring my computer to be monitoring the wells and all that stuff. So
luckily everything TD'd like a couple hours ago, so I'm perfect.
You plan that just for this. I
Oh,
appreciate
100%,
that, 110%. So if anyone out there wants to kind of chime in, say hello, kind of bring up a question or a comment or any rabbit holes you want to go down, let us know. And again, in the meantime, I want to plug this. I want to plug this Kids Crew thing coming up. We're talking about educating people outside of our industry about our industry, and that's kind of what this is all about. There's limited availability, so tickets can be currently only done through sponsorships, and we got some good speakers coming on, so be sure to check that out. Any comments? William chimed in. Came in late. We missed a lot, William. We missed a lot about what's going on in the crew world, the background of this guy, and everything. So you got to rewatch it. How about that? But I guess, man, if you ain't got nothing, you got a side punch today.
Yep.
All right. Who's talking today?
Shame to say I don't remember, but they're always
always has some very good speakers.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had when I first went to a side punch, it was DRW, and then it was that gentleman who does the it's not a lobbyist, Michael. Anyway, he spoke and he gave kind of the reality on kind of fossil fuels renewable. It was very, very interesting stuff. Kind of like you were there too.
Yeah,
like,
I think it was.
If you increase battery capacity, 10,000%, it would only hold 3 minutes of storage capacity. It was very interesting stuff.
And not only that, I think, and I'm sure I'll get the numbers wrong, but something like if they wanted to, in order to get to where they wanted to, and I think it was the new Green New Deal or whatever it was they needed to increase mining output like 400% today.
And stop drilling for oil and gas this year.
More or less,
and invest with something X amount of trillion, which is more than any.
Yeah, and so basically, like it just, the sequence, just the things you needed to do.
So the reality and the expectations, it's very disconnected. So that's kind of a challenge that I think we're all faced with, and I think versus beat our chest and talk in our echo chamber, it's listening, as you said before. It's having those just conversations with people, So I think that's kind of all we got. We got a lot of stuff going. You got Sipes. I got this corned beef. I got to go.
You had to tell me how it is.
I'll tell you how it is, man. A little Guinness and all that stuff. So, Craig, I appreciate your time. And everyone out there, reach out to Craig and connect with him. Who is now? We got to go link to find out who this is. All right, this says LinkedIn user. This is my boy Bo Clark. A very real talk of job search. Good job, guys. I know several good people still looking now. It's a weird time for sure. That's That's also a point to bring up that there are still. I mean, just because you're seeing oil, hit $100 a barrel, just because you see this and that, the opportunities are not there for work, for activity, and historically, it hasn't been that way. Historically, if things are ramping up, companies are ramping up, people and personnel and staff. That's not happening right now. So I know it feels like, the pandemic was that long or wasn't that long ago, but there is still a lot of great people out there looking for their next role. And I think it's important for all of us to continue to be active and engage with those people and try to find them work, try to find those good people positions, because just because things are where they're at now doesn't mean that there's people that still have been decimated over the past 2 years and that are not in a situation they want to be in.
Right, exactly.
So I think that's a great point, Bo. Appreciate that. I think it is extremely important to start to continue to reach out. And if you hear any opportunities, kind of ping others. And even if it's for them or not, they might know someone. So communicate more.
Yep. And on that note, if anybody has a company that they need some geologic work and they don't want to ramp up, feel free to drop me a message. And I can make sure you get in contact with the right people at Geologic.
Yeah, I mean, whether he can do it or he can pass you on to someone, that's the thing, though. It's like he knows a lot of people that are kind of in the same boat looking. I mean, also helping out people can't ramp up.
Right.
So I mean, there's and also a lot of geologists that are still looking. So again, point of contact. I mean, for someone if you know a geologist out there or someone that's looking. So that's a good point. So I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in for Breakfast Starts. Happy St. Patty's Day. I got my green socks on.
Nice. I wore this green shirt, not even realizing
you didn't even realize it.
St. Patrick's Day.
You know, I feel like after you get to a certain age, I mean, St. Patty's Day doesn't really. It's like okay, it's just it's just like you just remember about the times. Oh man, I remember going.
Or you don't remember.
You don't remember it, but it's like I'm not doing that again. You're going up for St. Patty's Day. I'm like, no, I'm 41. Why would I go up for St. Patty's Day? Absolutely not.
Like I'll dye my whiskey green at home or something.
I'll do that, man. Yeah. Hey, that's happening. That's happening. So. Everyone, thank you. Happy St. Patty's Day. Be sure to connect with Craig over on LinkedIn. Say hello. Be sure to follow, register, and sign up at connectioncrew.com. We'll be opening up a Crew Club membership for this upcoming quarter. And also check out Kids Crew, here to impact families and teach the little ones more about energy. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Roast and Brew, for, again, allowing us to kind of live stream here. Great place, great people, awesome food.
Great coffee.
Great coffee.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, and be safe and take care of each other and be kind. All right, talk to y'all soon.